Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Camera. Here we are with episode 102 of Behind the Camera. As always, before we get into today's show, if you would like to follow Behind the Camera across social media, you can find my link tree in the description. That'll take you to Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, and also has the link to where you can buy my book, Behind the Camera, The Journey So Far. This is available in both paperback and ebook, and is free to read if you have Kindle Unlimited. If you would like to see more of the behind-the-scenes side of the podcast, you can also support the show on Patreon. For £3 a month, you'll get access to extra content, including a Patreon-exclusive series, your name added to the wall of patrons at the end of every episode of Behind the Camera, and much more. But now, getting into today's conversation. Today, we welcome Amy Lenius to the show. Amy is the coaching director for Next Level University, a company that you will all be familiar with at this point from my past conversations with Kevin Palmieri and Alan Lazarus. Following on from the theme of success in last week's episode, Amy and I discuss how you can become successful through personal development, growth, and a healthy mindset. Self-awareness is a hugely important thing in all aspects of life and is a key indicator to when it comes to growth and fulfillment. But now, here's the interview. Amy, welcome to Behind the Camera podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. How are we doing?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here, Andy. I can't wait.
No, I'm very, very excited for this one as well. Obviously, it's quite interesting because something that I've always found is, I think I found this maybe earlier whenever I started podcasting, was, when you know somebody to a degree, it's harder to actually have these types of conversations with them. But then the further I've gone on, I kind of think, actually, no, it's quite the opposite. It really makes it a lot easier. I find, and so obviously after we had the group coaching with NLU, which we'll I'm sure we'll get into in a bit. Very, very excited. So speaking of NLU, you are the director of coaching at Next Level University and also a speaker. What can you tell us then about how you got into your role of, so let's go for speaking first, and then how that sort of led into the group coaching or the coaching for NLU?
Sure. How that all led into NLUs. Like you said, I'm a big part of Next Level University that you yourself have gotten to come in and experience. I'm looking forward to when we get to that point of the conversation. I want to hear everything about it. But I didn't start my career and all the things I do now in this kind of space. My background is anatomy and physiology. I was a massage therapist out in British Columbia for a while, and I fell in love with the science and things, and I had my own healing journey going on along the side where I was healing my own chronic illness. And so I just fell in love with this space of wellness and holistic wellness, being that everything affects everything else, because I went through a lot of years being really sick where people only wanted to talk about one thing and try and fix this one thing, when in reality I was able to heal through embodying the idea that everything is connected. I had to go through more than just the one system that was bothering me. It was about also my gut, my stress, my liver, everything is functioning together. And then my external environment and what was still causing me to be sick or causing me to be stressed that fed my sickness. And then, so those two combinations fell into this beautiful natural wellness community, and they were the ones that had me speaking in their rooms and then on their stages about natural wellness for women's health and for hormone health. And that's how the public speaking started. It started really small. It actually started with just me talking to my female patients on the table and seeing that their cycles were struggling and their things, and how they had no idea how their body worked. And I had just learned so much, and it was helping me so much to be empowered with this information that I was teaching it to them. And then I was teaching it to small groups, and then it was bigger rooms and then bigger stages. It was an amazing evolution, actually. No one, I think, jumps off the page saying, I want to be a public speaker. I think you have to be a rare human to want to do that right off the bat, because it tends to be more of a fear than death itself. People are more scared to hop into a group and talk than they are of dying. And so it didn't happen naturally. But when you have something to say, and when you see the impact of what it is that you're saying on people's lives, it fuels more of a desire to do so. And so along that journey, I came across Next Level University. These two bros who have an amazing podcast and an amazing company. And they were talking about what drew me in was the word holistic self-improvement. Now, we don't use that language much anymore because no one knows what the hell you're talking about when you say holistic self-improvement. So now we say personal development.
Yeah.
But if you're paying attention, that is still the through line of everything that we do. And holistic self-improvement being, again, that everything affects everything else. Your health affects your relationships and your career affects your relationships and your health. It all goes together. And so they were speaking on a lens of holistic success. How can we be successful in all of the areas of life that make you feel fulfilled? And I was like, oh, I love what these guys are talking about. I love what they're doing. So I started listening to the podcast, started going to their free things like book club and the monthly master classes. And then I became a client. And they were coaching me, helping me. And I sent one of my keynote presentations called Holistic Healing for Your Hormones to Alan one day because he's a fellow public speaker and I wanted some authentic feedback. It's hard to give feedback on public speaking or to get feedback from public speaking because most people are just so impressed that you're up there. So it's, rah, rah. They're so excited for you. And so he gave me some really good feedback and he loved what I was doing. And he loved how I spoke. And he said, you know what? How would you feel about coming down to the States? I myself am in Canada and come MC our live event for us. Come do this personal development event with us. And it was like, oh, I have no idea what I would be doing. But yes, that sounds amazing because I love you. I love what you guys are doing. And just to be a part of something like that, like what a gift. And so I did. I went down, we did the event, and everything just exploded from there. I fell in love with them as the people. I got to see who they are behind the scenes and the work that they're doing and the mission behind it and the values that they brought to this company. And so I just kept getting a little deeper into their world. I started helping Alan with trainings and speeches. We started bringing me in for more coaching, and then I became the facilitator of group coaching. Like you said, I get to go in, and that's one of my favorite things that we do because the three of us get to do it together. And so it's that. And now I have my own coaching practice through Next Level University. I've become what's called an entrepreneur within their amazing entrepreneurial journey. And this third front-facing person of this company that I don't think that was something that any of us ever expected, but it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to do so because I came in to this space created by two very integrous, incredible men as this very female, especially what I spoke on and what I believe in and the things that I do and the hormones that I talk about and the things I get to do with women. And that never went away with this transition. If anything, it was super celebrated and supported to bring everything I knew into this space that was built by these two men because their audience at the time, it's expanded from, the 4 years ago when I came on, but it was a lot of heart-driven women. They were speaking into a lot of women's lives. So it all just kind of fell into place. But yeah, I'm so grateful and I'm obsessed with everything that they were doing and now everything that we get to do together.
Yeah. That's honestly incredible. I love how the way it is just sort of snowballed from public speaking because like you say, nobody initially ever wants to be a public speaker. It's like people always have this really big fear of it in any sort of situations. I think because in your younger years, that's the thing that you're kind of always forced into, go back to school years, education, things like that. Nobody ever wants to do it. It's maybe a fear of being found out or something like that. But then once you get into, I think it comes with passion and knowledge. If you have a passion, enough passion of something, then you want to learn about it, then that gives you the confidence to, it's not even public speak. It's just, you want to tell everybody about it because it's you want to share that with as many people as you can, especially, in your case, people in relevant situations. And so going from physiology and you have a high focus on sort of personal development as well, holistic healing, do you feel that there's a important mind and body connection in that, going from the kind of side of physical healing to the mental side and personal development?
Oh, I do. Yeah, there's a huge component when it comes to, yes, your physical health, but how it's tied to your mental and emotional health. And vice versa. Your mental emotional health really can have a huge impact on your physical health. And sometimes for some people's journey, it's, the chicken and the egg, what came first? it almost doesn't matter. You just got to get in there and break the feedback loop
Yeah.
that's happening. And maybe you're more drawn to the mental, emotional aspect to it. Amazing. Start there. Or maybe you're more drawn to the physical aspect. I was drawn to physical aspects first. I started healing my body through physical action and stuff I was doing, taking, and being a part of. And the mental stuff actually came later. But because I was feeling better physically, I had more capacity to take on the mental and emotional journey. And I do think that that also, it doesn't matter which one you do first. When you have more mental and emotional capacity, maybe you feel like you can take on the physical challenges, and then vice versa, like I did. But no, they go together so much. And my healing really expanded after I started seeing some physical wins. My healing really expanded when I started embracing more of the mental and emotional aspect as well. And then now, all the work that I've done with the guys and the stuff I have learned in this personal development and success space, I can look back now with that 2020 lens. When we look back into and can see things differently, it's like, oh my goodness, this taught me so much of this. This taught me
Yeah.
self-belief. This is why I was able to keep going. Oh, and that was a big self-worth hit when I did that, but then this changed. So it's amazing to be able to look back and reflect on things through the lens of the awareness you have now. But it was really fascinating to see where I missed, not knowing the knowledge I know now, and
Yeah.
where that could have helped me then, and then what did build in that. And so I love that, because now when people are on a similar journey and I'm, steps ahead, I can fill in those gaps for them. And I love that so much. Even the people, so between, like, right before Next Level University, I myself had a group coaching program for women, and it was called the Peaceful Period Project. And I was just teaching them about their cycles, their hormones, their bodies, empowered questions to ask. Stress reduction was the biggest module that I did, was stress reduction, because that's so impactful for women's hormones and things. And I can I can look back and see, okay, where it was really done really well and where the information was good. But I wasn't addressing certain things that I now know would have helped them be more consistent in their implementation of the things I was telling them to do or asking them to do. And so it's really fascinating to be able to look back and see, yes, the evolution and where the gaps were that I can fill in now based on my knowledge. And I think that's just such a testament to the beauty of continuous growth.
Yeah.
There's no rival space. I don't think people I think people come in to do this work with a sense of, I want to do this work because I want to arrive here. But in reality, when you continue to do the work, you see that there's always an expansion. There's always more you can learn. There's this weird paradox where the more you know, the less you the less you understand that you know. Or no, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, would be a better way to say that.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
But the
100%.
paradox is, the less people know, the more they think they know.
Yeah. For
And you can see
sure.
that in people in the world. And so the more you learn, the more you realize there's more to learn. And that's it's such an expansive gift if you can embrace it.
For sure, for sure. Like that's the sort of thing, because when it comes to personal development, it is a continual thing. Like it's. I don't think it's anything we as people can really peak at. Even if we kind of feel at our best, you can still get better, and that's not a negative. That's just sort of really kind of. I think that comes with the kind of clarity that you have in the current moment that you're feeling in, and obviously, like it that comes with sort of having any clarity at all and having some being of some sound mind at all. Like, and it is interesting, the point you make about looking in hindsight for the women you coached before, and but so going from there to say the present day, do you have like any particular like values or lessons that you would still teach today that has just not changed over the course of time?
The through line of all of it would be just the power of information.
Mm-hmm.
I was always obsessed with the idea of empowering others with information that's going to help them with their life. Even when I look at high school, let's say, then they wanted you to talk about career day and who you wanted to be as a career. And I always wrote down mom, but then they would give you crap for that, because apparently you're not allowed to write down mother for a full-time career, which is
Mm-hmm.
insane,
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother topic. I always wanted to be a mom. And so, but then they were like, no, like you have to have a job and a career. And so then I started writing down teacher. I loved the idea of teaching and educating. And then I went around my high school one day asking all the teachers about their jobs because you're supposed to go ask people in those fields. And not one of the teachers said it was a good idea. Not one.
Really?
Not one of them loved their job enough to tell someone else to do it.
Wow.
And now that I see like how the education system is and where schooling is and stuff, I know I wouldn't have lasted long in that arena anyways. So that was a bit of a gift. But when I look back, it's like, oh, I did want to educate though. Even back then, I loved the idea of speaking into people's lives. And so that I deeply believe in the power of information. The more you know about yourself, others, and the world, the better you can navigate having a fulfilled and aligned life. And initially, I just thought that about health. The more you understand about your body, the more empowered you're going to be to have a physically well body. The more you understand, the more understand women understand their cycle and their hormone health and things, the more empowered they're going to be during those ebbs and flows that naturally happen. And so it was that I fell in love with what information does for people, and I still believe in that to this day. And I'm going to constantly expand my own knowledge, not only for myself in my own life, but to be able to pour that into others as much as people will let me.
Yeah, like that's incredible. Like, and I completely agree with what you're saying. Like the like information and knowledge is power. That old cliche. You know, the more you know things, the but I think it takes like a sort of special kind of person to actually want to be able to sort of share that out into the world because, like, I think teaching is great. Like it is great, but also it comes to how well people receive that as well, and people who are like willing to learn. And I think when you get into sort of more vocational types of things, with like physiology, personal development, and coaching and things like that, that's kind of where people can thrive because you have people who are coming who are wanting to learn about this stuff, they feel like they need to, and that's kind of like because like, I mean, you go back to you go back to the school days. Nobody wants to be there. The odd few maybe, but like there was a sort of like we're being forced to learn this stuff, and it's like, I mean, of course, that's like it ultimately is like a somewhat of a discipline level as well, but when you are wanting to learn, that kind of helps bring that sort of discipline. And something that I know about you is like you are very, very big on success built by daily habits. And do you feel that whenever you're kind of going through like with a client talking about like potential habits and goals, that the client needs to have an element of discipline to be able to actually kind of fulfill these, or is it a case where as a coach your delivery is kind of like in a way where like it just speaks to them in a sense of, oh wow, that sounds incredibly easy, I could go and do that right now?
Yes to both,
Oh,
and no to both. It depends on the person. It depends on the person. It really does. When you're speaking to an individual, it's really important to understand what their individual language is. And so when you're speaking to someone with low self-belief being what they believe they're capable of achieving with enough time, energy, and effort, and their ability to create results externally, if they're really low in that, you want to speak to, like you said in that second example, I'm going to make this feel like it's so easy for you and you're going to do so great. And we're going to build that self-belief through doing these really easy things every day. I'm speaking to someone who has high self-belief. They believe that they can take on the world and that they can create external outcomes and things. That's a different language. And you can't cross those languages because then you're doing detriment to either one of those parties. And so it's really, really important as a coach and as a person looking for a coach or investing in a coach that you be very discerning with who speaks into your life.
yeah,
That's one. But it's that. And so, and even discipline isn't there every day. Some
no,
people have more discipline than others, but my goal, because I have to do this for myself, I'm absolutely not motivated or disciplined every day. I have to make sure that it's something that they can do when that's not there.
yeah,
That is something that is so important. What is this version of this habit that you're committed to doing every day that you can still do when the motivation and the discipline isn't there? That's the win. You want to be able to set it up so sustainably for people. And that's a subjective level. right? Their version of sustainability. You want to set it up that way so that even on the hard days, they can still do some version of this thing to check the box and move the needles and leverage the compound effect towards their goal. And that's an individual game for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because something that I've seen that's quite, I don't know what the word is for it. I think quite prevalent right now when it comes to these things is the phrase, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. I kind of feel like that's sort of how a lot of people want to receive information these days. And is there like a sort of challenge for yourself when it comes to sort of explaining certain things to people, like when it comes to say, like, high achievers, people with high self-belief? Is it harder to kind of like not coach them fully but more sort of lay out these types of things for habits with them? And because I'm sure with the people with low self-belief, like, I mean, I fall into that category, and we had a conversation a few weeks ago, and it was like a light bulb moment for me, like, I swear to God. So, I can attest to everything you're saying about that. But when it comes to like high achievers and trying to map it out, like, is that a little bit more challenging?
It is. I am of the personality where I can build someone up all day.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I can build you up all day and make you feel so good, so seen, so supported. I struggle to be the person that needs to bring someone down to reality. That's a harder conversation for me. People with that kind of inflated sense of self-belief and self-worth who don't see themselves accurately, it's hard to bring them down into self-actualization versus bringing someone up into actualization.
Yeah.
That's a challenging one. And even the speak to me like I'm 5, I think everyone has that.
Oh
When
yeah.
I came into Next Level University, I came in with all of the skills that I had, the speaking, the human connection, the emotional intelligence, and then Alan, our CEO, you've had him on the show. He is a Google spreadsheet, numbers
Oh yeah.
thinking, computer engineer, business major whiz. And he's taken me through the back ends of the company, which is designed entirely in Google and in spreadsheets and in numbers. And I was like, whoa, my man, I know I come off real smart. I do. I need you to talk to me like I'm 5 here. I've never seen a Google sheet in my life. And I've said that to him. But again, that's the beauty of self-awareness and humility is, of course, bring into a space your strengths and own them. But people appreciate when you also understand your weaknesses and want to be poured into, yeah, I see that I can be of service here and skill here. This is my weakness. I'm going to learn it and I'm going to do my best with it, but also I need support here.
Mm-hmm.
People appreciate that. And if the more we can have that, especially as a coach, when I'm coming in and people come in a real authentic space where they struggle and where they thrive versus people who come in who are they're thriving all the time. Everything's amazing. Everything's great. Nope. Habits are good. This and this and this. That's why I love habit tracking, because it doesn't lie. You either did the habit or
Oh
you
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out why. You were dancing around something called the skill sweet spot. It just left my brain. The hard skill sweet spot. No, I said it in my brain when you were talking about it. Anyways, it's that line that someone has where either something's too hard or something's too easy.
Mm-hmm.
That like skill, competency, sweet spot. And you have to give something that's a little bit challenging, but not so challenging that overwhelms someone.
Yeah.
But it can't also be too easy where they don't think it's worth it to do. Challenge, skill, sweet spot. There it is. Challenge, skill, sweet spot. Okay. It has to be challenging enough and skillful. Okay. There it is. That you have to be discerning in that, not only for yourself if you don't have a coach who can do that for you, but if someone's speaking to you, it needs to be challenging enough where it's like, okay, I'm motivated and excited to do this because it's going to get me a result, but it's not debilitating me every day because it's so hard or not sustainable for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What I like about that is the fact that that has to sit on like a wide spectrum of like what is really sort of available for your clients, because some people like I mean, the Allens of the world, and I love Alan. He is an absolute top class guy. At the time of this recording, he's doing a lot of running, a mile a day, I believe, and but like that's not attainable for everybody. And it really comes down to the person, like, I mean, I think when we had our conversation, I think one of them was like, go out, walk for 15 minutes a day.
Mhm.
That was hard for me at first. That was, I wasn't going to be going out into the mountains anytime soon. But I mean, it's something you kind of build up to. So I love the fact that there are so many different levels for, like, a habit's a habit, a goal is a goal, but it all comes down to the person, like their, accountability and their discipline towards doing it. And, I think the thing I like most about it is the fact that for the people who like might treat it as like a competition, ultimately you're only competing against yourself, and that's like
Yeah.
going to be either your biggest motivator or your biggest demotivator. I know for a fact I have fallen into both camps in my life when it's come to things like that, and it's but yeah, like, I think having that kind of mental clarity about what it is you want to do for yourself first and foremost is like one of the most important things. And you used Alan as an example as well. Like, yes, Alan's been on the show as well, and obviously was in the next level last coaching group with you guys, and it's you use them in the perfect example because you said you're good at bringing people up to sort of where they probably should be. And Alan is good at doing the exact opposite, bringing people back down to where they need to be, and like. I think with the three of you guys, yourself, Alan, and Kevin, you're like the perfect trio for what it is that you do. And like, you guys have like structured the accelerator groups in the most perfect way. And just because it's like you're all adding your own individual skill sets to it. You have Kev's the creative, the ideas. Alan's the business guy. You are the personal development person, and it's like I mean, I was saying this to Alan like recently. I was like, everything that happened week by week for me, it was like, oh my god, this resonates so well with what I'm doing, like right now, with what I've been thinking of. Oh, what is going on here? And so, so you guys do this? Is it once a quarter? You guys do the group coaching? Yeah. So how do you guys like figure how to structure the 12-week program? Obviously without giving too much away, but as much as you can, like how do you guys come up with the structure? Is it sort of solely strength based, or what's the sort of formula that you guys have for it?
Yeah, that's funny you ask, and thank you so much for that compliment.
No,
I
of
deep I
course.
love when Kevin, Ellen, and myself get to come in and do things together, because you can see we all have similar values and the through line is the same, but we're all speaking kind of these different languages from these different strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something unique and really special in what the three of us bring to something. I'm excited. We have the live event. I'm flying down to see the guys soon, and we
Yes,
have a
of
full day of
course.
that where you get all three of us for the full day, and I can't wait for that. I do. And I see that more and more when we get that compliment that you just gave us. So thank you so much.
Oh, my
So as
pleasure.
far as the structure of group coaching, that has been an iterative process. So it started with holistic self-improvement. It was just a group coaching program for personal development. It was health, wealth, and love, 12 weeks. And then we started to dive more into working with podcasters, helping podcasters. And we're like, oh my gosh, there are so many amazing, heart driven podcasters doing this amazing work in the world. And we just want to see them succeed. And so we're like, let's make this for podcasters. Let's turn this into an entire podcast accelerator program. And we saw that we still needed to bring in the personal development aspect. That's why the first 4 weeks are grow yourself, very heavy, grow yourself, understand your core wound, understand where your self-belief is, your self-worth is, how to build those things every day and how to build them along with you. And then it's heavy Kevin in the middle, 4 weeks of all podcast stuff, right? But there's still a through line of you yourself as the host on the
Oh yeah,
journey, which is
100%.
so important, as you said, right? And then it's heavy Allen at the end where it's business. Let's teach you business for the last 4 weeks and make sure you guys understand how to leverage business and make money from the gifts that you guys are giving the world. And so there is no perfect formula. What we do is we constantly make improvements after every
Mm-hmm.
session. What went well, what didn't. So it has been an iterative process the whole time. We're not running the same thing every
Yeah.
time. What landed, what didn't, why didn't it? Was it too much? Was it too little? And we're also always assessing the group. what level is the group at? What does this group need to hear? And that's why we do, yes, the learning sessions, but then every other week we have those connection sessions where we don't come in with new information. We're trying to help you as the group with what you need. And that is something I think unique and special to what we do. We're not just running a formula assuming that it works for everybody, because that's not reality. These programs that you see people selling for $10,000, and it's like, this is the key, and they teach the same to every person. It's like, nope, that's not going to help a lot of people, and no one's going to come back and want to be a part of what it is that you're doing because you didn't speak to them as the individual and as the human. And so there's a lot of and there's no gatekeeping or secrets here. We're very intent on honoring the human and the experience of the individual while giving a group experience. And that's why we only take 10 people. We're not
Yeah.
taking 30, 40 people. We don't want to. We can't give the experience that we can give to 10 and the individual growth and things. And so that's the through line of it, is the special, unique approach, but we're always making it better. What was the most important win? What was the most important improvement? How can we make that? And we do it all the time, iteratively across as we go. So it's us constantly being willing to improve and making sure we're speaking to the individuals in the group and making sure we know who they are.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like, because my personal experience, like, I found it incredibly helpful being able to, well, because it was a small group, having more confidence to be able to sort of speak up, in all like the WhatsApp, and even like chatting to you guys individually and just feeling seen, I suppose. Like, and that's like a very, very important thing of what I think that I feel like you guys do. But then I was also like I know that you guys get a lot of like people returning back to group coaches. It makes sense, obviously, when things change up, and assessing the group was a very interesting point that I picked up on there. Do you find that when you have a group of people who have more in common in terms of like core values and things, that that's the better or the easier group to coach? Because depending on what it is, like, I mean, the last group, very, very open and in touch with our with our core values, and I loved it. Absolutely, everybody in that group was top class.
I agree. It does make it so much easier. It really does. Which is why, like in the beginning, we took whoever wanted to come in.
Mm.
We were, excited to fill the group, and it was about, okay, who can we get to come in? And now, gratefully, we're in a place where we can send out personal invites and fill the group. That's something amazing, because then we can create a group of really amazing people who we know are aligned with the work that we're doing, and we believe our values are aligned with what they're putting out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it just creates such a deeper, more meaningful experience when the group is aligned with what we believe in the group. It's just, it's amazing. And so we're very, at a very special space to be able to handpick, but we find people who, the similar core values, but also the similar core wounds and things. That's no secret, this, but we're constantly analyzing you in the group.
Yeah. Oh,
We have a group full of unwanteds and unlovables here. Amazing. We can teach them this and help them with this. And they're going to be the martyrs, and they need more focus on self-worth. How can we give them that? We're constantly assessing you with loving intentions.
Oh, for sure. Oh, 100%. Because like the first 4 weeks, it was so eye-opening, and it was like, oh my, and then like the connection sessions ended up was like group therapy, and I was like, this is like, I was like immediately, I was like, I love this group so much, I don't want this to end.
And you're right, people come back because
Well,
it's slightly different all the time. There's fundamentals are there, but those are fundamentals. Everything we teach you can be taught again.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Everything can be assessed from, okay, I have this level of self-belief, let's say. Now what's my self-belief at? What's the next stage I can take that to? The next level, if you will. It's that. Everything we teach can be built upon again and again and again and again and again, because they are the unsexy fundamentals that you need to, if you have goals and versions of success that you want, be constantly improving upon. And so group coaching is tapping you back into that. We've had people, so there was Heather in your group, Lizzie in your group, they've done multiple group coachings, multiple. They take something from it every time, and they grow from it every time. And I think that's also something really unique and special. We don't just throw out a signature program and assume it's going to work for everybody and be classic over time. No, it gets better every time, and it's different every time. But also everything we teach, we ourselves are constantly growing year after year after year after year
Mhm.
because they're the fundamentals of what needs to happen. And so I think that's something really special too.
Definitely. And what I particularly like is the fact that you guys are in the position to handpick and invite people individually who you guys have, you guys have spoke to in the past and assessed would be good for this. Because I think that immediately gives like a huge edge because like the people you're reaching out to, they're already going to be like, oh, wow. Like, I mean, you guys see something in me wow, really? Like, I mean, I think I had messages from all three of you guys at one point, and I was just like, oh my God, like, yeah, I mean, of course, absolutely. Like, it was like the most like flattering thing at the time. And I'm sure like, like everybody else that you guys have reached out to is like that. And I love the structure of it, especially with what you've explained, because it's like it kind of really alleviates or not alleviates, it elevates, sorry, the personal development aspect of it, because not only are is there a focus on personal development within the groups, but also like within you guys as coaches as well, because like it's a matter of how do we make this session better, how do we do this, and a lot of evaluation. Like it's really fascinating everything that goes into it as well. Yeah, like it's I think definitely in the future I 100% plan on coming back, like for sure, because another important thing as well that I kind of find from what you're saying is that when you sort of, even when you kind of have a knowledge of the fundamentals and a basic understanding, I think that's kind of what helps your development, because you're learning more about it, you learn more about how your current situation applies to it in that moment versus how will it apply if you continue on that same path, or do you need to make changes, etc., etc. Like, I mean, I know for sure I'm in that position anyway.
Absolutely. I think that's a message for everybody who's listening, who's on this growth journey, that there's always more to learn. So I'm very focused myself on self-worth. And every time I reach kind of this new level of self-worth, I see where I need to take it next. Okay, my social courage is really good. How's my boundaries been lately? Ooh, a little off. Okay, that's where I need to focus now. That's going to be a process through my whole life. There's always more you can expand upon and grow as far as personal development. And even if it's on the same topic,
Yeah,
even if it's self-belief, you can still grow more belief. You can still run that system of state-proof self-assigned. Say you're going to do it, get it done. Lock it in your identity. Amazing. I did the thing. Self-celebration. You can do that for everything forever and still see the benefits of it and never need to stop. So where are you putting your time, energy, and effort right now, as far as growth, as far as goals, as far as habits? And where can you see how you can continue to take it up a notch and to the next level, or expand it? Or there's so many just different areas you can take all of this stuff. And so I think it's a really important message to never feel like you've arrived. I invite everyone always to be the person who says, well, at least who doesn't say, I already know this.
oh, yeah.
Don't be the person who says, I already know this. I've already heard this. Are you applying it? Ask yourself, am I applying it to the level that I can? Can I apply this deeper? Where can I apply this further in my life? Right? Be that person. I always invite people to be those kinds of people. How can I take this to this next level of this idea, this thought, this habit, this goal? Because you can always expand.
For sure, for sure. Well, it's like watching a movie, isn't it? Like, if you've seen a movie before, you're not going to be like, oh, I've seen this, I know what happens. You're going to watch it anyway, and you're going to pick up on something you might not have picked up on the first time, and you might see it in a different light. I know that's a really strange comparison, but I kind
Oh,
of
it's
think
such
it
a good
sort of
example,
relates.
though. It is. Think about a movie you loved as a kid and then you watched it as an adult and it was an entirely different experience.
Any
There's
Disney
such
movies.
any Disney movie ever, right? Any movie that you see the kid's perspective and you can see why you loved it as a kid, but then there's also this mature adult aspect to it that you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
pick up on when you were younger, and you're like, oh, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
amazing. Or it's not
All the
amazing. Depending on
innuendos
the
in
movie,
Disney movies. That's all
right?
it is.
And so it's that. Now the movie didn't change.
No,
That's why it's such a good
exactly.
example. The movie
Yeah.
is the exact same. You yourself are different. That's why I love saying that about books too. If there was a book that really spoke to you, like there's books like Essentialism and The Compound Effect and all of these great principle based foundational building books, I'll go back and read them because I will pick up on something different. I needed whatever I read the first time and I implemented, that's what I needed and had the capacity and capability to implement at that time. Now I'm an expanded version of myself and I can implement more. You go back to those books again, the book hasn't changed, you have, and you see something different. So there is something to be said to revisiting things that matter in that work.
Definitely. Like, and it's amazing what like a different perception can do for you, like as a person. And like, I kind of think when it comes to things like, you know, books, media, podcasts, and coaching as well, like, you know, whether it be life coach or anything else, like empathy and relatability is one of like the biggest things because like yeah, you have to understand your audience. Your audience has to understand you. That's a whole big thing. You know, like if you read a book, then changes your perception on things. But you have to also kind of go out and live that kind of perception too. You have to live that value. And then if you go back to the book the second time, then again you might pick up on it, or you might just read it and think every single thing in this I completely relate to. This I feel like it's like someone said to me recently actually, like about sort of feeling heard without ever having to speak, you know, that kind of way, like, and it's I don't know, I think it's just the whole idea, like personal development is that there is no ceiling to it. I kind of feel like I'm rambling on a little bit now, but like there is a point. But like, yeah, there's no ceiling to personal development. And so going back then to, you know, in your early days when you're doing physiology and anatomy, and the more you learned, like, did you ever have like a sort of end game in terms of what you wanted to achieve, or was it very much just like you just wanted to keep on learning and things fell into place almost?
Yeah, the second one more
Yeah.
so, and not necessarily in like a good way.
Mm.
Obviously, it worked out in a good way, but just I'm a very short-sighted person by nature.
Oh, okay.
And I've had to learn to be more of an expansive, future-paced thinker
Yeah.
because both have value, but I mean, you can't reverse engineer a goal or a future outcome and decide what you need to do every day if you can't see far enough in the future to be able to do it. And so I was very just again, I chased short-term wins, which is important. I
Oh,
was
for
very good
sure.
at that aspect of it. Both are skills. There's no right or wrong. You want to be able to expand into being able to do both though. And so I just kept chasing the next best thing. Okay, what was this last one? What was this next what can the next thing be? And so it was more that I was just expanding on the little wins. Okay, this really worked, this really didn't. Follow the line that works. This really worked, this really didn't. Follow the line that worked. And when it comes professionally, it was more this really fills my cup. This is amazing. I feel so aligned and fulfilled and of service here. And so that kept expanding and I just kept following that pull. But now I do my very best and I leverage people who I have in my life, like Alan, who is the ultimate future thinker. The dude's thinking beyond his lifetime constantly. He's like, what about next year? I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I don't know. Like,
Like, I don't even know what I'm having for dinner tonight. Oh my God.
right? We don't most of the time. We're like, well, this is thought. And if I pull this vegetable here, like that's the day-to-day life of it too, right? And especially with household kids and all the things, right? There's a lot of reactive things in life. And so the more you can future pace and at least be proactive about the things that you can control on the day, that and that's like I love leveraging Alan for that for more long-term thinking.
Hmm.
And I love when my clients leverage me for that because again, it's almost easier for someone like myself to I can see someone else's future way easier than I can typically see my own. Now again, that's changed. I'm going back to when I was first doing this work. But I now have these skills that I can not only implement in my own life to see, okay, this is where I would love to see myself in 5 years, knowing that that can change as I change. But when you have goals, it dictates your now. I
Yeah.
think that's why I've learned to love goals so much because once you have a goal, everything you do now is either for or against the goal.
Yeah. Agreed.
And
Oh, agreed.
what an empowering filter. Some
Definitely.
people see it as restricting, but it's actually really clarifying and really empowering. The second you have a goal, say like when we have our fitness challenge, 10 pounds in 10 weeks, some people are bulking, they're building, they want to build 10 pounds. Some people are cutting. Two very different goals. The people who are cutting, you want to be in a caloric deficit. The moment you go over your calories, or maybe it's like, oh, chocolate cake. If it's not in your calorie thing, then it's not for the goal. Whereas the people bulking, their goal is the opposite. So what's good for their goal is bad for our goal, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Not one of those things are good or bad universally. It's based on the goal. And I love that, because now every decision, say you have a decision to have just the greatest, most connective, growth-oriented, beautiful marriage of all time. Everything you do now is for or against that goal. And that's what I love too, is it's not always the easier choice.
No, of course.
Something's for the goal. So you want to have a beautiful connected marriage, and you're holding something in that you know is going to be a hard conversation that you want and need to have with your partner. What is the right answer? Which one's for the goal of the long-term success of your marriage, and which one's against it? Well, not saying something actually is the one against it, even though that feels easier in the moment.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Like, I completely agree on that. And that's something that my wife and I, we've talked about a lot. And it's like we've had plenty of hard conversations over time, but it's like every single time, midway through the conversation, it's just like, I feel so bad having to say this. Like, no, I'd rather you would. It's like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I don't want to find out like 5 years from now that you never told me that. I'm like, oh my God. Like that's like, because it's when things build up. Things build up and then spill over, and then the trivial becomes then almost everything. The more you build that things like that up, the more decisions go against the relationship by proxy, almost, like, and things spill, and it's a whole other conversation. But like I completely agree. And that's an interesting philosophy though. Like, every decision you make is for or against your goal. Like, I honestly something I've never ever thought of like that, because especially when it comes to sort of fitness and accountability, because I would I would very much be the sort of on the sort of ideology where it's like, I'm going to make a decision here that is definitely against it, but I know how I can fix it in the long term, if that makes sense. So it's like almost like cutting corners, I guess, or prolonging. But I think you kind of just I kind of have to cut the crap and just be like, no, it's against it. It's just against it. There's no there's no BS in it, basically.
That's almost the downfall of self-awareness. It's like, oh, I know this is a mistake, but I'm going to consciously make it anyways and deal with that later because I know I can. But there's something to be said about that too. That's not necessarily a negative.
Oh no,
because
for sure.
what that is doing is saying, I'm actually choosing, let's say, so there's a really amazing quadrant that Alan came up with. And so if you picture a quadrant, 4 corners, right? And each quadrant is about respect versus a goal. And if the y-axis here is respect, so 10 respect, 0 respect, and the x-axis is 0 respect, 10 for goals. The upper right quadrant is a 10 for goal and a 10, or a 10 for self-respect and a 10 for goal. Those are your automatically yeses. Automatic yeses. This person, place, thing, idea is for my self-respect and for my goal. Now, the bottom right quadrant is 10 for the goal, but 0 or lower for, or 5 or lower for self-respect. Those ones you have to do very consciously. Okay, I'm going to choose to work with this client for now because I'm in the beginning of my career, and then you want to take on clients for experience, for all sorts of things. You want to build your business, build your revenue. But as you go on, there's certain people you're not going to want to work with because it's a hit for your self-respect. 10 for the goal, if your goal is to make money, but it's a hit for your self-respect. So those ones you need to be conscious of. It's like when I sacrifice sleep for the sake of a goal. I can't do that forever because that's going to hit me as a respect for my health and different things, but I can choose it consciously sometimes, knowing that it's not a good choice all the time. Right? It's like sometimes when it's like, you know what? Yes, family, let's have a super just cuddle puddle day. Let's go grab all of our favorite snacks. It's miserable out. We're going to watch our favorite shows today and just be together as a family. That's not necessarily for the greater good and all the things. Now it's good for my family goals. It's good for our connection and things. But if we did that every day, it would be detrimental.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's conscious in this moment to do it now, even though I know it's against some things, but for others. So when you have the high level awareness, you get to make that choice consciously rather than making poor choices all the time unconsciously and then wonder why you ended up in the area that you did.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said for what you're saying. And then the other half of the quadrant, something that's good for self-respect but bad for goals. Well, that day of being a total couch potato with my favorite snacks and things, that might not necessarily be good for my fitness goals or my business goals or things, but it's very good for my self-respect. It's me honoring my family, my need for rest, the things I value. And so it is important, but it just needs to be done like this bottom right corner with a bit of discernment, a bit of understanding. And then the bottom left corner is a no-go. It's bad for goals, bad for self-respect. We all do things down here. We just need to be more discerning of, okay, how can I do less and less and less and less of these things over time?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's testament to the fact that we all have off days. We all have days
Absolutely.
where the unforeseeable can happen and circumstance
Absolutely.
dictates, and or you just wake up and you're just like, I'm going to put everything on hold for a day. But then that's where the sort of accountability rolls back, and it's like, okay, well, tomorrow, we're doing this. And I think with that, with what you're saying there, I think one of the most important kind of takeaways from that is like, if you do have a day like that and you're kind of measuring it up and the pros, the cons, how this is going to relate and stuff, don't beat yourself up about it. Because
Mm.
I think so many people, I've been guilty of this. I'm sure a lot of people have, but if you want, one day does not mean you are off track completely. You just have to kind of, realign. But yeah, I think I know I would be so quick to beat myself up over it, but you just, and it goes back to what we mentioned there about having that kind of level of self awareness, which is can be just as much for good as it can be for detriment. like
So
there is, I know, like, I mean, I know there's so many things that I am like, I mean, again, this kind of falls into, there are some things I think people are hyper self aware about themselves, and then things that those people are just completely not aware. Like I know when it comes to my health and fitness, I know I am very, very hyper aware because it's been a vicious cycle for me for the last 15 years.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm a genius or know the ins and outs of it, but I've been in shape and out of shape enough to kind of know what I need to do. It's just finding that kind of accountability. But we get there. Every time the circle goes around, it just takes a different kind of path, as it were. But
Yeah.
then you find other things where it's just like, when it comes to like podcasting, for example, or speaking. As soon as you get that little bit of confidence and you do, or anything really, you do things for the first time, have a little bit of confidence about it. I think 99% of people think that they are better than they are at it, which is fine, because like the fact that you're able to get up and go and do something like that is fantastic. It's remarkable, and it should be applauded. But then this is where, it comes back. Personal development, you learn things about yourself, and then you look back and think, oh my God, wow. Well, that was that like a year ago. Glad I worked on that. I'm glad I stuck with that. I'm glad I became more aware of myself in this aspect, because it's like, yeah, okay, I have improved. I didn't know I did. But then it's amazing how these things just like click like that.
Yeah, it is. And I love the idea of looking back and see how far you've come, or looking back and seeing how you're still the same.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? Look back and say, okay, my life sucked a year ago. It still sucks now because I haven't made any changes. Okay. Use that to leverage change. But also, yeah, it's an and. It's amazing I showed up today, even though I didn't know what I was going to do and I don't maybe have all the skills I need to have yet. And I can get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's both. And I love that. I love celebrating the moment of I did something I didn't want to do today, or I did something hard, or I'm not skilled, or again, the perfectionism mind comes in. I'm not perfect at this yet, but I'm going to show up anyways. That's how you heal perfectionism. And I'm going to celebrate that, and I can have humility to understand that I need to get better and I want to get better. And if I show up every day, I'm going to get better just automatically through the reps. And then you get to look back a year later and see that because you did the rep every day, it was hard to see the change over time. But when you look back on a year, it's undeniable,
Oh
the change.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I know I do that with my podcast. I look back at episodes a year ago and think, wow, like I mean, like, if I was to look back a year and think the only thing that had changed was the length of my hair, I'd be nuts.
It is. It's important, especially for growth-oriented people and people who are just kind of achievers. It's very important to look back because we constantly actually don't think we're doing a good enough job.
Oh, for
So
sure.
Alan, as part of my habit tracker, has me look back at Facebook memories every day. He's like, I need you to see how far you have come because I'm one who goes against my potential. I rarely compare myself to other people, and I also rarely think I'm doing a good job in the moment because I'm constantly comparing to what I believe I know I can do better in the
Yeah.
future. I'm always going against my own potential, and everyone has their differences there. But mine's against me and my potential. So I always think I'm doing a shit job. So he has me looking back, and I look back at guest appearances or when I had my own podcast or even just, Facebook stories from a few years ago. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, yay for me, because this is how I got here. But, and it's so healing
Yeah.
because then you're like, oh, yeah, even though I didn't feel like I'm doing a good job today, obviously the days have compounded and I've arrived somewhere further. And it is so good to see that. It's good to hold the duality. I'm further than I've ever been. I've done a good job. And if I keep doing it that way, I'm going to get to the next version of that forever.
I think that's the most positive use of Facebook memories I've ever heard, and I love it. I think it's incredible because for me, it's the exact opposite. So a couple of years ago, every day for a year from the 1st of January right through the 30th, I might have missed a couple of days, but I rectified that the following year. But every day for a year, more or less, I went on and deleted every single Facebook memory because it was, I mean, no, I wasn't very much like personal development minded at this point, but I felt like I had more dignity and shame. So I kind of was like scrolling back. I was like, nope, that's got to go. That's got to
Yeah.
go. And like, now some of these memories were going back to like, I think I had Facebook from when I was like 14 or something. So a very long
Oh,
time ago.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so fortunate I missed all of that. I missed all of that. I didn't have social media until I was in my 20s. So I can't imagine
I
looking back at
I
teenage version me.
wish I was the same. I wish I was the same because oh my god, like I scroll back and like now this is like going from 14 to about I haven't really posted on Facebook much in the last 6 years. So really going from 14 to 25, 26. We'll say
Yeah.
25. Say 25. Make me feel a bit better. And so, and I'm just like looking and I'm cringing. Like, I'm like, oh my God, no, no. The odd thing I might keep because I look back and it's like, oh, that's kind of funny. But yeah, like, but I kind of like wish I could like go back and like look again for the same reasons that you do to be like, okay, to look and think, yeah, I might have been like that years ago, but like I've take the positives
Yeah.
out of it. Like I mean, plus who doesn't love a wee bit of cringe every now and then?
You got to have it. So important. Yeah, there's a duality there for me as well. There's a part of me that wishes, social media maybe was, I know. No, I'm grateful social media wasn't a thing when I was a teenager, actually. I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Well, I can
And
tell you, I can tell
I
you
was
one thing.
still late to social media even for my age because I'm making myself sound super old. I'm kind of old, but not
No,
like but yeah, but even then, even in my early 20s, when I did get Facebook, after a few years, that account got hacked and I lost everything.
oh,
So I actually only get to look back into my journey where this part of my journey had already started. I had already become a little bit healthier. I wasn't dealing as much with my chronic illness. I was mentally healing and things.
yeah.
But if I had to look back at like 16, 17, 18-year-old, 19 version Amy, that would be a trip for sure. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, I think it sounds like that was kind of meant to be for you in that sense. Then, like it's everything's been relative to your journey, and that's kind of that's the way it should be. I think yeah, like as I know I'm glad I got rid of. I'm glad I got rid of like I'm sort of cutting down at like in my 30s now, cutting down on social media like except for podcast related stuff, and it's I yeah. I mean, except for the odd reel here and there, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's social media is a tool, and how we use it deeply affects our life, very much
100%.
so.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I think it's actually getting worse, unfortunately,
Oh,
because
yeah.
people have more access to make their life look a certain way than it really is. And so now we've got a level of comparison, and it's actually extremely detrimental for most people, and yet they use it like it's a good thing in their life, and that's really scary nowadays. We talk about real world versus social world. We got into this actually quite a bit in one of our
Yeah.
calls with you guys, and I'm going to talk a lot about it at Next Level Live as part of my presentation, because Kevin Allen and myself, we're deeply invested in the gap of real world and social world to be so small. Who I am on this podcast is not much different than who I am in my real life. Now I'm a little more poised, put together. I don't look like a hobo like I do most of my, my big hoodies and my bun and all the things. Like I'm very casual in my real life, but and
I relate, I relate the days I have working from
do
home.
show
I
that
would say.
aspect, right? I do still show that aspect of my life on my social media and stuff. Kevin Allen and myself, we want to make sure that that gap is small. Whereas most people, their real life versus their social life, there's a huge gap of reality there.
For sure.
And I think it's so important as consumers of social media that we know that,
Oh, yeah.
because it's so detrimental to go on there and think all of these people are doing so amazing. And oh my gosh, look at this person who posted a day in the life video. Their day in life looks amazing. They're recording it. Them getting up out of bed, they had to walk and set up their camera and then crawl back into bed and act like they're waking up again. Like, what are we doing? First of all, a freaking
I
disaster.
know. Yeah.
But that's what people are thinking. They're like, oh my gosh, her day looks so lovely and put together. Of course it's put together. She had to put it together for the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And likely invited out to all of the places that, went to. And
Right.
it's literally a day of work, which, yeah, okay, some people would love to have that. But then, like, people also forget that the people who do these things are also, they have to work, they have to make their videos look. And these are like the sort of like videos that are from like a handheld device. And that takes a lot more work to make look good. Like, it's, people are, it's like, you're jealous of somebody's job. Okay, but could you do that work yourself?
Yeah.
Like, and
Actually,
it's
I can't make my life look that good,
no,
even if I wanted to. There's no way. I don't have those skills. But also, it's so funny because I was on a podcast right before this, and she's like, "Okay, you have your professional life. You homeschool your children. You look like you have this beautiful full life." She's like, "How? I want to hear about that." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's a hot mess." And she just laughed. She's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Yes, on the macro, my life is wonderful. It's full, and it is designed to be of like all the things that I do are for fulfillment and alignment and things. Yes, my life when you zoom out is whole, but on the day to day, the mess. You can't do all of the things that I do and have it flow seamlessly all the time.
oh yeah, yeah. Like,
It's not real."
no, but it's like a bigger picture sort of thing, though, isn't it? Like, I mean, because like, this person says you got this like amazing life, and in the grand scheme of things, you do. But if you break it down to day by day, it's like
Yeah,
it's like it's like what we said, the difference between like so people's life on social media, and not everybody sees the nitty gritty. Like, I mean, we're all susceptible to having shitty days, and like it's okay to sort of express that, but that doesn't
yeah,
mean that your life is that way, and the same for people who come across as extremely happy and fulfilled on social media. I mean, it's all relative to, I think, in some ways how they're feeling in the moment, and some ways what the bigger picture is. Like, if I mean, yeah, like it's, yeah, that comes back to that kind of idea of like self-awareness and
yeah,
just, and perception. It's like, I mean, I post very, very little to nothing about my own personal life because there's not much going on. There's not enough going on. It's like I look at the, yeah, people aren't going to care about this, and I don't care for a lot of people to know about it. So it's like, yeah, I'll post about the podcast. I'll post like a random video of me talking. I'll do this. So that's fine. It's
yeah.
not. It doesn't give anything away. It's just a separate part. I keep sort of separate to my personal life, and
Mhm.
that does me. That does me. And
Yeah.
I look at that and I think I really have evolved with my use of social media. Oh my God, I feel so much better for it.
Yeah, well, it's real life versus perception again, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people post for, oh, this is what I want you to think my life is. This
Mm,
is what I want you to think of me versus of what I actually am or what I actually think about
yeah.
myself. And so that self-awareness piece is, why are you on social media? Why are you using it? And I used to think that too, actually. No one's going to care about my simple little existence. But in reality, people actually really like seeing my simple little life because it is, yes, I have this like professional aspect to it. I get to do it from the comfort of my own basement, which is so amazing. And people like to see that as well. But also they like to see my little country walks that I take and the fishing that we do and the chickens that we own and things. And I used to just think, oh my gosh, who cares about any of that? But people like that. And that's
Sure.
my real life. And the
Mhm.
more you can bridge the gap that is your real life and your social perception life, the better, more fulfilled, more aligned you're going to feel. And the more you care about the inside out versus the outside in, the better your life is going to be. Because eventually, again, with time, eventually the work that you're doing inside of your real life will have the success of that external perception where it's actually real.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
That feels better as a whole because you're not doing this dance where you feel like you're a circus for somebody else and you feel like you have to be seen a certain way. There's value in building your life from the inside out and being honest and humble about it along the way.
Definitely. Definitely. And like, I think it just takes that kind of self-awareness to know that, and just, you have to work on yourself to get there, and to really kind of bridge the gap and make it look like this is my real life and these are the little tidbits and this is what brings me happiness. But Amy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on Behind the Camera. Thank you so much for all your time. It's been an amazing conversation. Just for the sake of the listeners, where can we find you and the work you do at NLU?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a great conversation. And we're just so grateful not only that you came in and did group coaching with us, but that you're a part of our
Well,
community. And we
thank you
just
so much. That
love
means the
having
world.
Oh, we love having you. I mean, you know us, we're simple creatures. We're on Facebook and Instagram is typically the better one for us. But what we do really love to talk about is that if you message us on Instagram, you are getting us. You're getting Kevin Allen or myself. You're not getting an assistant. You're not getting an AI message you back. It's us, and we deeply want to talk to you and serve you your goals and your growth in whatever way feels aligned for you. That's why we have a very broad spectrum of things that we offer people, from paid to group to free to one-on-one. There's so much in there that we can offer for you, your goals, your growth, your habits, your personal development, and all of the above. And we would just love to have anyone who is heart-driven and ready to hear that the unsexy fundamentals are the way to build real, long-lasting identity and success. Then we'll love you and you'll love us.
Absolutely. And I can 100% echo that, as well as somebody who has been a part of the group coaching in NLU. I would recommend to, anybody, wherever you are in your podcast journey, as long as your heart and mind are in the right place and you are, and you're ready to do some work, on yourself, your podcast and everything else. But once again, Amy, thank you again so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you.
And there you have it for episode 102 of Behind the Camera. Huge thank you to Amy Lenius for being today's guest. Another reminder as to why, when it comes to podcasting, Next Level University are a cut above the rest. As always, thank you to all patrons for your support. You're all truly appreciated. And of course, if you would like to stay connected with Behind the Camera, check out my link tree in the description for all socials and my book, Behind the Camera, The Journey So Far, which is out now. Thank you for listening, for the support, and for being part of the journey. Until next time, take care, stay creative, and I'll see you soon. But until then, peace.